Okay, here we are. It's the 25th of May. Oh my God. Thought I'd start you off today with a 2-minute uninterrupted epidemius. Epidemic. Unbelievable. We got all kinds of things to talk about today. Let me get this thing over here. Sorry. With a racket. One of the stories that hit the newsstands. Tesla battery degradation. You know, when you buy a Tesla car or any electric car, which is kind of a new thing for all of us, although we've been driving one for about 2 years. 2 years less a week. June 11th, that's going to be 2 years exactly. June 10th. So, one of the things, you know, other than where do you charge it up and all these kinds of things, the battery degrades every month, a little tiny bit. And now this is like a 200,000 miles. It's degraded 12%, which means when you buy the car, it's at 100%. And so many miles later, it's 88%. So what that means in English is that if your battery was 336 miles in range, I'm doing a little calculation right here on my super duper calculator. 336 miles. And now it's degraded 12%. That means it hasn't degraded by 88%. So I'm going to multiply that mile by 0.88. 336 times 0.88. Here we go. So now your battery is going to deliver 295 miles of range. If you were going to use 100% of the battery, which of course the factory says don't do that. You're supposed to not touch the top 20% of the battery. And don't let it drive below 10%. So that's 30%. So 295 times 0.7, right? Because you got 20% and 10% is 30%. From 100 is 70%. So I'm going to multiply 295 miles times 7.7. So now our real range, I call that real range, RR, is 206 miles. Okay? So, you know, so you had a 336 mile range battery, and you only have, 2 years later. And this is about where we are in 2 years. Not 200,000 miles, 2 years. And 13,000 miles, not 200,000 miles. This is apparently a long story, with regard to that story. But just for your reading enjoyment, so a 336 mile range battery, after 2 years, your real range is 207 miles. Now that's, let me have a little sip of Pepsi here. That's not the end of the world. Let's get rid of this. There we go. 206 miles. It's not that how many times do you drive 207 miles, without, getting out of the car, walking around, and all that. It's just that it's so annoying to have to keep, and what the Tesla people are, I guess they figure almost everybody that buys one of these is living in their own little single family home. And see, now if you live in your a house and you wire it up, so you plug it in every night on a 230 volt circuit at 50 amps, let's say. It should be 50 amp circuit. Because it's got a 48 amp charger in the car. And you plug it in every night, so every morning you drive around and you got 200 miles of range. So you piddle paddle around in the neighborhood during the day. And, that amounts to maybe 50 miles. So you pull back into your little parking place and you got 150 miles of range. And the heck with it, you don't bother plugging in. The next day, you piddle paddle around, and, another 40, 50 miles. So now you're down to, 100 miles of remaining range. Now, unless you knew for sure you weren't going to do anything, I said do it on the third day. So in other words, you get 4 days, 3.5 days of driving, and then you got to plug it in. So, so you plug it in overnight in your garage, and that's okay. But if you live in an apartment building, which I do, you don't always have access to that plug-in overnight. Now, we did a couple of nights ago, by some miracle. The guy wasn't there. So we plugged in. Filled it right up. Not to the top. To 91%. So I guess it's 260 miles of range. So we got about 260 miles of range, but you can't use the bottom 10%. So you take off 26 miles, and you really got 240. So we drive around 240 for the week. And, we'll charge it up probably twice during the week. And by Thursday or Friday, we either plug in, or on Saturday, I drive Brennan to work, Neiman Marcus, and I stop by the charger that's over there on level 2 of the parking garage of the Neiman Marcus parking garage. And in 20 minutes, zingo zango, we've got, the car's full. Yeah, you sit there and piddle around with your phone. No problem. You read your emails and your text messages, and before you know it, it's time to, it automatically shuts down, and you get out of there. So, well, the most interesting thing that happened last night, which you might have heard about, is Ron DeSantis has decided, no surprise, to become, there he is. Do I have I still don't show. For some reason or other, I can't get, I probably have to restart that, which I'm not going to do today. Let me just unplug this real fast. Plug it back in and see if the system recognizes it. No. Anyway, so you can see it through my microphone cable and all that. If I turn it this way. There we go. It's a little bit better. Anyway, he's running for president. And it'll be interesting to see how you basically have a very accomplished military guy. He's been in the military 15 years. He's an attorney, and he's a judge. He was in the Navy as a judge advocate general. A JAG officer. And handled some portion of the judicial hearings and so forth, court martials. You have the military, you got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, and sometimes people misbehave, that kind of thing. So, and then he stopped. He got out of the service, honorably discharged, and comes from Dunedin, Florida, which is, let's call it a suburb of Clearwater, St. Petersburg, over there near Tampa, over on the north central west coast of Florida. So he went home, decided to run for Congress, and won congressional seat in around the area of Dunedin, where he grew up. So that's a nice story. And stayed in Congress for I don't know how many years, 2-year terms, and I don't have his bio in front of me. And then after that, he got pointed up next to Trump, and Trump learned all about his history, like I'm almost reciting here. A couple of holes in the story, probably. Nothing bad, just incomplete. And Trump says, you know what? This guy's pretty sharp. So he endorses him for governor of Florida, since you know, he won governor by the skinny margin, but he won. You know, served as governor for a 4-year term. Put his hat in the ring to run for another 4-year term. Won that by a huge margin, like a 20%, 19%, margin of victory. It's kind of like unheard of. And Florida is an interesting state because, in the central area around Orlando, you've got a lot of liberals. Over on the southeast coast, you got a lot of liberals. Broward County is almost entirely liberal. You go over to the west coast and it becomes a little more conservative. You go up north and it becomes conservative. Jacksonville, then it becomes a little liberal. So you got a mishmash of different kinds of areas, in a very big state. It's the third largest populous state in the country. So to win that with a 20-point victory is, 2 years ago, is pretty exciting stuff. Anyway, so he's enjoyed two of his 4 years as, governor. And he thought that, with Trump wanting to go try to be reelected, and he's in New York State court, and he's got to stand trial for 39 counts of criminal hiding of money that he paid Stormy Daniels. Well, of course you hide the money, That's what you do when you're trying to hush up a woman, and you're married. You try to shut her up. You get her to sign an NDA, and then you pay your attorney, and your attorney pays her, so that you don't really have a straight line going to me or him, Trump. So now they're prosecuting him because he didn't have his name on all those. I mean, it's really stupid. Only in New York State could that happen. Because, a bunch of Trump haters, they tried to change the venue. Yeah, that liberal judge, nope, no change of venue. Yeah. So, I think it's in March that goes to trial. So, right in the middle of the political season, which is all on purpose. These people show up, right before elections. Yeah, let's see if we can extort some more money out of Trump. When you're worth a couple of billion, whatever the number of billions is, 2, 3, 4 billion. These people show up, see if they can extort some more money out of you. Anyway, so Congress is trying to also prosecute him for the January 6th insurrection. The insurrection of the United States government with no weapons except a baseball bat. Oh, really? An insurrection with no weapons. No muskets, no automatic pistols, just a couple of bats. That's, a couple of clowns carried in there. But they broke into the Capitol and they were very threatening and all this. And there was a death caused by a Capitol Police guy that shot somebody. Not the insurrectionists. No one had any guns, just the Capitol Police. And they shot somebody because, they got all excited and, they shouldn't have had, ammunition chambered, as they say. When you take the gun, you go, whoosh, whoosh. No, you don't do that. You shouldn't be brandishing your handgun, running around after people in that crazy. But they're blaming that on Trump. Trump didn't do anything to instigate that. He had nothing to do with instigating that. But that's what they're going to try to do, is have another indictment come down with a trial. Surely right in the middle of, the campaigning for president, which all in itself, you can take office and you can have and resume office and not give up, any time in service of being president if he was elected. But they're trying to make him such damaged goods that, he'll drop out or I don't know what. Well, DeSantis figuring the same thing. They figure, boy. Now, these guys like each other. But publicly, they're kind of pretending they don't like each other. They're not competing. Now they are competing because DeSantis is in there, as of last night at 6:00. And Trump is already in there, meaning they've registered with the Election Commission that they're running for president, which you got to have all kinds of forms signed and provided to the Election Commission. And you got to provide quarterly reports on your money in and your money out. And, you have campaign limits as to how big the contribution can be per person or entity, whatever. Anyway, that's why people hold off as long as they can without having to file with the Federal Election Commission because they don't want to follow all that gobbledygook. So, but sooner or later you got to do it because you're running for office. And so anyway, so DeSantis is in the mix, and Trump has got, like 53%, 53 percentile, and DeSantis is like 21, and then you got all the rest of these people in around 4 and 5%, 3%, 4, 5. And there are like 6 or 7 people in there at this point. So, with nothing else changing, it looks like Trump would win the nomination. Now, Biden seems to think, even though he has to run on his record now, or before, he was running, against Trump, didn't have a record, just a bunch of conversation. Now he's been in office for 3 years. And his record isn't so good. Gasoline prices are, slightly more than double what they used to be under Trump. Inflation is 300% or more of what it was under, from Trump to Biden. Under Trump, it was like 1.5%, and it went as high as 9%, a little over 9 with Biden because they've been signing up all this legislation for trillions and trillions of dollars worth of spending, which causes inflation. I mean, it takes they they print dollars. You know, with all the spending. So where does the money come from? it comes from it comes from taxpayers, number one. But the fact that all the spending is going on is inflationary. Well, that's what happens when you spend about $5 or $6 trillion, in a year and a half. I mean, it's nuts. Trump spent, a lot of money, trillions, not that many trillions, but several trillion, because of the pandemic, the virus, and shut down this and shut down that, and DeSantis, permitted his state to be shut down for 90 days only, and then he opened up. As a matter of fact, he opened up, Trump was president, and Trump, made mention of that, But, shutting things down didn't help any. He didn't have any more cases of the virus than anywhere else. So it didn't have an effect. So DeSantis didn't shut anything down. It's as simple as that. And, but a lot of the country, particularly California, teachers union, oh boy. They shut down for a year and a half. They screwed up, all the students all over the country because these teachers unions had all these government officials by the belt and kept things closed longer than they should have. Why would they do that? Really? I guess if you can be a teacher and you can get paid and you don't have to go in and you don't have to have students running around, why not? So they had a year and a half vacation. Well, not in Florida. In Florida, basically flourished. The students didn't lose too much. They lost 90 days of schooling. They got back to school. And so it was a good social experiment, at the cost of our youth. Maybe they won't forget it, And so DeSantis goes in the ring because he figures, maybe Trump becomes damaged goods and really can't run. He really can't. The polls are terrible, making stories. I'm making stories up because we don't really know. And DeSantis will be in there, and he's got all kinds of contributions that were made, which will keep his election alive, and see what happens. You got Iowa, you got these New Hampshire, South Carolina. You got 3 states coming up for primaries. See how they do. That's best, So if DeSantis can come up with a, head to head, and now you can really do apples to apples because all the apples are bobbing in the water now, including Biden's. So now they do a head to head against Biden, and DeSantis beats Biden by 2 points. Can you imagine? Well, you should. I mean, you should beat him by 6 points. Jeez. This country's in a... Jeez. How much inflation can you stand? Eggs cost, what, $10 a dozen? Eggs are more, $1 a piece per egg. Really? There we go. They used to be 6 cents a piece. Nuts. Gallon of gas. $3 and $4 a gallon. And the Trump gas was $1.86 when he left office. $1.86. Now it's $4. That's a little more than double. So you got an $80 tank full. Well, when you'd rather have a $40 tank full and you have $40 left in your your pants, or do you rather give $80 to the oil people? So what's the answer? That DeSantis has, and the answer is drill, drill, drill. Produce as much. We have more. We have more oil under our feet than the Saudis do. We think they're the only source of baloney. There is more natural resource oil under our feet here than all these other places combined. And that's clean oil. Venezuelan oil is dirty. Russian oil is dirty. Dirty, they call it dirty crude. It's, extra step in refining. So, I know a little bit about refinery, fractional distillation. Yeah, I was trained actually as a biochemist, so I understand the fractional distillation. I mean, I don't understand it to the extent that academia knows refining as of today. But when I was in school, wow, 50 years ago, I say that, it gives me shivers. But the laws of physics haven't changed that much. Matter of fact, they haven't changed at all. So I understand what's going on with that to a degree. So oil independence Trump was right there, but not for very long. And numbnuts gets in office. What does he do? Cancels the XL pipeline, but approves the Russian pipeline up into the Baltics. No. What? Why in heaven's name would you do that? Are you trying to wreck the United States? Are you trying to weaken the United States? So instead of us having oil come through, at 500,000 or 600,000 barrels a day through this huge pipeline coming down from Canada, it goes right into Houston or into the Louisiana coast, where we have a lot of our refining going on. The refinery plants, that we don't have to truck it. We got this much. We got 25,000 miles of pipe under our ground right now, United States. 25,000 miles of pipe, and we only got this much left. Just that much of the Keystone Pipeline. And Biden stops it. First thing he did when he got in office, stop the. He goes, if Trump thought it was a good idea, nope, can't be a good idea. If Trump said it was a good idea, it's a good idea, goddammit. I mean, we only got that much left. Stop the wall. Walls don't work. What do you mean walls don't work? All these goddamn politicians have walls around their homes. But walls don't work. Southern border is a disaster. Don't we close our back door in our homes? Don't we lock our back doors? It's basically to keep the good guys out, because anybody, that wants to get in the back door can get in the back door. But when, if the door, if it's locked, that's good enough for 99% of everybody that would touch your doorknob at night without ringing the bell. But you still close the door anyway. We got our back door wide open, meaning our southern border. I mean, they're walking in, 10,000 a day. Well, multiply 10,000 a day times how much, because now you're going to have to feed them. You're going to have to clothe them. You're going to have to take care of their medical needs. You're going to have to, have them, vocational training or whatever, unless they're picking crops. So all the kiddies, they have to be daycare centered. They have to be taken care of. They need diapers. They need sneakers. They need shoes. You got to clothe them. You got to shoe them. You got to put them through school. So all our schools are going to be, swelling at the seams with 10,000 a day. So, since he's been in office, it's, like 5 million people that we don't even know who the hell they are have crossed our border. And that's not counting the gotaways. They got away. They call them gotaways. That's got to stop. And if we don't stop it now, meaning in 2024, we're done. This country, as far as our boys are concerned, my 3 boys and a girl, the country will never be the same. It'll basically turn some stage of socialistic, and, it won't be a democracy anymore. It just won't be. And it'll be one-party rule, and the country would have to just about go bankrupt for the American enough. Well, there wouldn't be enough conservatives left. And any conservative with money, they're gone. They flee the country, they go somewhere else. And they live out their retirement, or they live out the rest of their lives. And, they start up new business, in Spain, whatever, and become part of another culture, learn the language. People that have money tend to be smart, and they'll figure out how to live in another society. And we get left with the people that don't have the money. And then that makes the budgets shrink further. Because you can't tax the poor. That generally doesn't work. You tax the people that make money and have money. But if you chase, the high income earners out of your country, that means everyone else is going to have to pay. So the standard of living will go down accordingly. It just won't be the same a generation or two from now. You got one more chance. You got this guy in office right now, he's spending money like a drunken sailor. And that's not speaking very good of drunken sailors. So we got to put a conservative in there to stop it. And this is the last shot we got. So we'll see if the American people can wake up and see that. They're paying the bills now. They're seeing, gasoline, refined petroleum products are going way up. Double. More than double. It'd be $7, $8 a gallon. It's not going to stop at 360. Nothing's gonna stop it. And the fuel oil, if the price of underground oil goes up more, as it goes up, everything becomes more expensive because you can't make the buttons on these things. Everything. This thing, costs more money. This costs more money. Everything costs more because it takes energy to make these things. This is a petroleum product. This keyboard. Whoops, sorry. This keyboard case. It'll double in price. Costs $300 now. It'll be $600. In 2 years. And inflation and all that. So if the American public doesn't get smart quick, like by 2024, which is next year, November, not this November, year and a half from now, almost exactly a year and a half from now. Well, they'll be out campaigning, and you'll listen to Mr. Biden and his, videos as he basically runs for office out of his basement because he's 80. He can't get around. He's a tired old man. And if that's what this country wants to have to be their commander in chief, oh my God, please. At least Trump was a tough guy. He never got in the military, but he's a tough guy. The world was afraid of him. Well, that's what that's what keeps everybody. There wouldn't be a war in Ukraine right now if Trump was president, because Putin would be afraid that Trump would, send over a missile or two into the Kremlin. And, Trump's a sneaky guy. He lulls everybody to sleep even though he's pounding the table. And a couple of the head guys of the Taliban, sent missiles right up their butt. There was a car full of them in a BMW. They were going out to dinner. Wham! JDAM went right into the car. Pew! You'd be lucky if you could find a couple of teeth. But we knew they were there. We had espionage. And all four, the head guy and the lieutenant and two of the next in line were all four going to go out and yuck it up and have dinner somewhere. Well, they never got there. And then one of the other guys, he was at a house somewhere, and Trump had the military focus one of our satellites on his house, on his abode. So we had a nice zoom-in picture, real high-definition picture. If someone was looking out the window, you could see if they shaved or not, kind of pictures. And they sent it to, Trump said, courier this photo to Abdul, whatever his name is. Why do you want to do that? You get whatever. Send the picture to Abdul. So he sends the picture to Abdul. Abdul calls Trump on the satellite phone, and says, why did you send me, Your Highness, why did you send me a picture of my house? Trump doesn't say a word. Why do you send me a picture of my house? Hey, you figure it out, dummy. You know, yeah, we know your house. We know where it is, and we can send a missile right in the front door or the side window for that matter. And we'll do it just as you get the daily newspaper. And then you will meet Allah. Well, they believe in Allah, but they don't want to get there right away. Take your time. So they were afraid of Trump because, technology that we're dealing with, the rest of the world worries about. But not with this guy that's 80. They don't even think, they think of high technology in the United States right now as a pencil and a yellow pad because this guy doesn't even know how to turn on a computer. I'm sure he doesn't even look at one because, it's 80 years, guy's 80. By the time this election happens, he'll be 82. My God, can you imagine? 2 more years of dementia. If you're lucky, you can find his way out of the back door of the limousine without falling on his face. That's terrible. So, the Democrats don't want him to run again. 57% of them don't. But he's running because, power begets power. And even though that's probably the smart thing to do, of course, you can't step aside and have Harris, you can't have her run because she's less popular than the 80-year-old Biden. You'd have to have a whole another person somewhere in the Democratic Party come up through the ranks. Like Bill Clinton. No one even heard of him. No one wanted to run against Trump because he had a 90% approval rating. Well, by the time, the election came around, his approval ratings was in the toilet, and they found Clinton. He said, "Oh, I'll run." What the hell's he got to lose? They run. Give him $100 million worth of campaign money and see what happens. And he ended up winning. He ended up beating. Oh, boy. That was terrible. Anyway. Clinton was a smart politician. And the economy, kind of, he got the idea that what's going on with the economy ain't working. Need to do a little something. And so he did a few things different, and the economy, flourished. Phew, it's not easy being queasy. So now this is a new course in Texas, and it's been under development, and the grass is growing, and it's a new PGA course in Texas. And there it is. Frisco, Texas. Courtesy of Omni Hotels and Resorts. So this just, you can't see it on, I can't seem to get this screen on next to me, but Gil Haynes designed the Fields Ranch East course. PGA of America's new home. So I have a feeling that the golf match this week is going to be on this course, or else I wouldn't be reading about it. I'm trying to figure out who this lady is. Oh, so she's worried. Well, she's worrying about the slit going up here. you know, flops around in the breeze, and she got her, looks like her breasts are about to fall out of the top of that thing. You definitely don't want her bending over to pick up the salt shaker. Honey, would you pick that for me? Oh, I'll say. Somewhere else in this. I thought I had. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Kate Beckinsale. Heidi Klum. They're all dressed up at the Cannes Film Festival. That's quite a party. Look at all those photographers in the background. To be a photographer, you got to wear a tuxedo. That's that's quite an outfit. So, Meghan Markle was really disappointed and shocked that the American media and some portion of the American population was, insensitive to the fact that she got chased all over Manhattan with paparazzi with her husband, Prince Harry. And if you remember, Prince Harry's mother was killed by the paparazzi in France. So it's a little bit of a sore spot in the family. So they were a little shocked that the Americans could be so insensitive in Manhattan. Anyway. So that's why that picture's there. It's 3 o'clock. My computer just told me it's 3 o'clock. American. So Elon Musk tried to pull off a presidential broadcast, and it went. The servers, at Twitter got so overloaded, the entire broadcast went down for like 20 minutes. Myself and many others, and I'm a little bit of a techie guy, and I think I'm all linked in, ready to, pick up the broadcast. Nothing there. And of course, it's not video. So you don't know if you're in or out. And I know from the early days of Apple, when they would have shareholder, live broadcasts or broadcasts of, when they announce new stuff, new iPhones and new iPads, new MacBooks and all that. Well, in the early days of Apple, talking about like, maybe 10 years ago, you had to get in there and have it running, like first come, first serve, because if it got filled up, it wouldn't take anybody else. Now, that might be 20 million, but it wouldn't take 20 million in one. Anyway, so I made sure I was, logged in and on there, whatever you had to prerequisites were. I had them all satisfied, and I'm waiting, the little clock is going, and the music's playing, in the background, waiting for the show to start at Apple. So I figured I had to do the same thing here. Get online first or second or, 10,000th, whatever. You don't want to get online last because you may get shut out. Well, here the whole thing just blew up. I mean, not, you know, the circuits got overloaded and they have circuit breakers, so to speak, traffic breakers. And it just, and it took a while to reconnect the breakers and to figure out which part of the server backbone in the server. Trying to use some of the terminology that those guys use. A little sip of Pepsi. Wet my whistle. Anyway, so that's what I have here. Elon Musk tried a big presidential broadcast on Twitter. He's promoting his Twitter thing, and Ron DeSantis said, "Hey, all right, let me pony up with the smart, wealthy guy, and see if we can, do something that no one else has done before." Well, it didn't work. So anyway, Ron's start wasn't, as nifty as it could have been. So that's why that slide is there. But Tesla did a smart thing. Hertz bought 100,000 Tesla Model 3s with a sum of $4.2 billion. And you know why they did that? Because the maintenance cost is zero. I've had this car for 2 years. You know what the maintenance cost is? Zero. I didn't have to do anything. It's got all these lights and whistles when you need to do things. Well, the lights and whistles ain't happening. So I had a lot of software updates. I called Service Center. I said, "Is there anything I got to do? I feel like I need to do something." Nope, the lights don't come on. There's no lights. They have the screen in the middle. I say lights coming on. In the old-fashioned days when you had lights that come on. But, no warning messages. Car runs smooth. It's, a little rough riding, but that's just because it is. So I every once in a while I got to put air in the tires. They're 36 PSI right now. And they need to be at, I can look up the tire pressure on my car. It's like nuts, isn't it? So, controls, push this button right up there. There you go. I got all the tire pressures. As of 7 hours ago, the car's been sitting in the parking lot. 36 PSI all the way around. On the side of the door, it says 40. Get it up to 40 to 42. So I have a pump right here. I took it out of the rear of the car for some reason. I wanted to blow up the tires in the bicycles. So I guess I'll do that. And I'll build up the tires so they wear correctly. But the tires are perfect balance. There's no, wobbling with this, nothing. See, recommended tire pressure. You can't see it on here, but 42 PSI. 3 bar. A bar is a European scientific notation for pressure. 1 bar, 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay. 2 bar is 2 atmospheric pressures. What's the atmospheric pressure? 14.8 pounds per square inch, right? If I remember that right. So clear data. 14.8 times 3 equals 44.4 PSI. So Tesla says our tires should be 3 bar, 42 pounds per square inch. So they were engineered and designed to run at 42 PSI. And they're at 36. This one's 35. 35, 36, 36, 36. So 3 of them are 36, 1 of them's 35. As of when Marilyn parked the car there 7 hours ago. I can flash the horn, honk. I can honk the horn, flash the lights, open the windows. I have it set for cabin overheat protection. So if it gets up near 90, the air conditioner, the ventilation system will start, and then the air conditioner will start and keep the temperature down. It's at 85. If I didn't have that on, it would be it'd be up around 128 degrees in the cabin. That's what happens. That's why when you lock up a kid in the car and go into the place and you forgot you have the kid locked up in the car, and the kid becomes medium rare because it's 130 degrees. When you're in the South, at least, car temperatures go up. Well, in the Tesla, you have the ability to keep it under 85 degrees or under 90 degrees or under 95 degrees. So the idea is you don't open up the door and you got a blast furnace of 135 degree air hitting you in the face. And then you're getting in with your skirt and all that. The seats are hot and steering wheel's like sizzling. You cook scrambled eggs on the steering wheel. No. So we can keep the cabin temperature 85 degrees or under. But if the battery is below 20%, it won't operate because the system knows, we got to save our energy for you so you can get home. So we're not going to permit. So that's how I know it's 128, 130 degrees in there in the afternoon, because Marilyn parked in the parking lot there with low energy, and the automatic cabin overheat protection wouldn't work because you didn't have enough energy to go around and to guarantee your safe travel home. So these software guys in Fremont, California figured that out. So, all right, we've been yakking here for 21. I'm sucking on this go for 1 hour and 5 minutes. So why don't we say goodbye for now? It's 3:10, coming up on 3:11 p.m. And I will. I think I got everything under control here. I just need to kind of shut this down a bit. Oops, get out of the way. Close this down, and we'll give you Epidemius uninterrupted. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.